Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal took place last night. The fight absolutely no one wanted to see, but it was actually an entertaining fight towards the end. This was a 10-round boxing fight, and Nate Diaz got the decision in the end. And I thought Nate Diaz won, but there was a lot of swing rounds in there as well. Do you know what I mean? If you're picking Masvidal, like if you come to me and say, "Oh, I thought Masvidal won this round or that one," like there were a lot of rounds in there, so I'm not really too mad about that, to be quite honest with you. But I did think Nate did enough. Like I said, nobody wanted to see this fight, yeah, but it was actually quite entertaining. I thought Diaz did well with just kind of peppering him with the jab and then just kind of trying to drown him. Masvidal was landing a lot of good over, like he was using kind of like slip overhands and left hooks and things like that. So George did actually have success in this fight as well. It's not as if Nate was piecing him up. It's kind of like, what are you scoring? Are you scoring the bigger shots, or are you scoring kind of like the kind of peppering of Nate, the tipping away with the jab and constantly at him, things like that? What are you scoring? And that's what a lot of people are asking. It was an entertaining fight. It wasn't exactly a high level fight though. Do you know what I mean? This was kind of like one of those fights where both of them are just doing this for a paycheck. They're at the end of their career, literally, like they're not even in the UFC anymore. So they're literally just using this as a paycheck. Which, you know what, fair enough. You can't really knock them for. Um, the cardio, I think, was a big thing in this fight. George Masvidal has never, ever had good cardio in history of his career. He did kind of well early on. I think that's kind of what a lot of people were thinking. George would do well early on, and then Nate would kind of get those later rounds like he always does. But first few rounds, very swing. First round, I remember literally George was just peppering him. Nate was peppering him. Like, there was so many swing rounds in there as well. So one judge having an A2 is fucking ridiculous. That is a joke. If I was Masvidal now, I'd be pissed as well. But yeah, like, it's one of these fights. They're both at the end of their career. Nate said, "I want Leon in the UFC." Don't go back to the fucking UFC. I don't want to see Nate back in the UFC, bro. No one wants. Well, like, no one wants to see that. But there's other options out there for him. Like, I wouldn't even mind. Yeah, I would not mind seeing a Poirier Nate boxing fight. Like, let's be real. That would be entertaining as fuck. You'd watch. I'd watch. Everyone would watch. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. With Poirier and Nate kind of having like history, and they were meant to fight but didn't. I could see it happening, bro. I could see it happening. Like, why not? Why not is the real question. For George, I think try to get that bag up as much as possible. I honestly think even an Anthony Pettis fight isn't a bad idea. Pettis was on this card. Pettis lost again. No fucking surprise. Pettis losing a fight. Duke cannot seem to get any wins nowadays, but that's what it is. This fight was really like Nate Diaz fashion, in my opinion. Like, he was getting hit with so much shit, like massive overhands and check left hooks, and he just eat him, be like, "Wait up, motherfucker," and then just walk forward and just start charging at George. Masvidal, he was actually surprising. Like, his boxing was actually very good. We always knew Masvidal was like a good boxer, but you have to remember, like, the threat of the takedown in MMA and kicks, knees, elbows, this and fucking that. He never really got to show his straight boxing. And, Jake Paul is fighting Mike Perry. I don't know, Nate fought Jake Paul. Do I want to see George versus Jake? Not particularly, but there is worse fights to make. I don't want to see it, but there is worse fights to make. I think Pettis versus Masvidal. Like, why not? That's actually a decent scrap. Like, I'd actually look forward to that just because I'm a Pettis fan. But yeah, man, like, I did think this was kind of like a joke fight. I was just like, bro, like, who cares about this fucking fight? This is just straight for the bag. Which you could argue they made it look like that, but they tried as well. They made it entertaining, which I think was the main thing. They made that shit entertaining for the fans. I didn't want to pay money to see some shit fight. They made it entertaining. Nate is kind of like, it just feels like Nate's going to be here forever. Like, is Nate ever going to retire? I don't ever see Nate just being like, yeah, nah, fuck this, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? And, Pettis and Nate have had their beef. They've fought as well. The fucking really waxy eye when you fight him. Remember all that. Do I want to see them in a boxing fight? No, not really. But then again, like, I do believe Nate's got way bigger of a name than Masvidal and Pettis, probably combined, to where he can literally fight anyone he wants in any promotion And people are gonna be like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I want to see Nate fight because as much as Nate is feels like he's gonna be here forever, he could literally walk away at any point. That's how fucking like Nate could fight another. I think Nate's gonna keep going, and Nate probably be boxing and doing like side quests for the next between 5 and 10 years. But then again, he might just like randomly tweet, "Yeah, I'm out." That's just who Nate is. He's that level of fucking beast and stud, and they can do whatever the fuck Nate wants. In my opinion, he's a fucking OG of the game. So is Masvidal. People give Masvidal hate. I don't really see a problem with him. He's a bit of a fucking idiot, like, but always came to fight. Always came to knock people the fuck out, and gave some banging performances along the way. So George's the G in my book. That's what I want to see next. Like I want to see that Poirier versus Nate boxing fight. Like that's one for the real G's. It was like this fight as well. Do you know what I mean? Like Nate and George are like the biggest OGs ever. So why not give Poirier and Nate that final fucking hurrah? That's what I think is should happen. Will it happen? I don't know because we don't really know what the situation is with Dustin yet. But you sure as fuck know Jake or not Jake fucking Nate will take it. He will take it. But I just wanted to make a quick video on this because I thought it was something funny, and MMA and UFC is really fucking lackluster at the moment. I can't wait for the Manchester card. But at the moment it's a bit shit. So, might not talk about these two names. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.